Hello, I'm Josh.
I'm Josh.
And I'm not Josh, but together we are
Joshing around in air.
We have a book.
What?
Hey, come on.
Tell me more.
Well, dear, not Josh. This is, I'm holding in my hands right now, it's very exciting, especially for all the audio listeners. We have the Tabletop Miniature Wargamer's Handbook, an ideal companion for the modern wargamer. From the hosts of Joshing Around in Air, Josh, and not Josh.
What a helpful resource for our under-resourced community.
Absolutely. I think if there's any community that is under-resourced, it is the wargaming community, and we are happy to fill the void.
Yes.
So yeah, we this is all very exciting, and we will get onto more about this book. We will be running you through what to expect, how we've contributed, and also we have an excerpt from a narrative campaign we've ran, which you will find in the appendix of said book. But first, I believe we have some beverages to hand out. Sam, what have you got for us today?
Well, we have had far too much locally brewed fresh mead, and so I think it's appropriate for us to go for the absolute cheapest store-bought mead. This is not from some local artisan mead brewer. This is literally from Morrison's, and I just saw it on the shelf and thought, I'm not sure I've ever just seen mead in a supermarket. And here we are, Harvest Gold Mead. So I'm expecting this to be the most disappointing mead I've ever tried.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't tried many meads, but most of the mead I've tried has been Josh's.
I mean, what they say on the back is that it is very likely the oldest known alcoholic beverage, and I think they're talking about mead as a concept, not this particular bottle.
Yeah, I think it might be worth a little bit more.
a delicious English tipple. So, here we go. Oh, it's a very long cap.
Yeah. I mean, I think it aged just while you were unscrewing it. Oh, I mean, even through this, I'm wearing headphones, and not Josh, and Josh are not wearing headphones, and I can literally hear the pour that is not in front of a microphone. Oh yeah, this is really smelling of honey. Strong honey on the nose.
That's quite encouraging, really, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's an odd.
Wow, that is very different.
Yeah. So I'm getting kind of a little orange.
Maybe. This tastes like I'm drinking wine. A lot more than your meads, Josh, which tasted like I was drinking like a cider ale thing. Do you know what I mean? This is definitely more of like the stopgap between a spirit and a beer.
This has got the feeling to it, the mouthfeel, if you will, and I trust that you will, of those little circular, like boiled sweets with swirls of like strawberries and cream or something in it. There's something that is quite creamy about it. Don't know what it reminded me of anyway. Sorry, everyone, I'll just go back to drinking.
Right, Josh, you are the resident mead brewer, so what do you think?
I think I've done better.
Hey! Yeah, I'm guessing that's all you have to say.
No, it's good. It's good. I like it. It's not too sweet. So this is my second ever shop bought mead. So weirdly, Ealing does a beard festival.
A beard festival. Although actually, Ealing would probably do pretty well at a beard festival.
Good, yeah.
I mean, you got two strong contenders. Actually, I mean, it's 2.5. Sam, it's solid. Yeah. It's a solid scruff you got
upgrading me to half.
Yeah, they do a beer festival every year, and they have a mead stand at that beer festival, which is partly what got me and my brother into doing it.
Right.
And that one there is like drinking honey. Me and my brother went back this year, and we realised it was unbelievably sweet, like too much so. So I do like the fact that this one's got sweetness to it, but it's not like too in your face. Like it's very drinkable. It's sweet without being like over the top.
This is 13% volume. What is that similar to the ones that you were making?
I ranged anything from 6 to 18.
Okay. So this is sort of low medium, like where I like to sit in the performance charts.
Yeah, I'd say this is pretty regular. Like, to go 18 was a pretty extreme batch. Like, most, I think, are around the kind of 12 to 14 mark. That'd be kind of pretty standard.
I don't know if this is controversial to say. I really don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first...
It's kind of grim.
This is the first drink we've had on the podcast that I haven't thought, oh, that's absolutely delicious. I could drink another 2 or 3 glasses of that.
This is making me feel better about my mead. If Morrison's are prepared to sell this, then I think I got a real shot.
Oh, man. I mean, yeah, yours is so much better than this. Also, that is actually a lie, Sam. What you just said. I'll tell you why it's a lie, because it links very helpfully into our listener question, which is from our friend Claudio Mura. He has sent us in a question. It says, "Hi Joshes and not Josh. I'm an Italian living in Canada. Imagine my amusement starting a podcast episode on Conquest painting and hearing an Englishman read a label from a Grappa del Colli in impressively well-pronounced Italian.
Oh, well done.
That brought a smile to my face, so thanks. Well done, not Josh. I mean, that was... I was not thinking it was pronounced well, but you did great, so well done.
I wish that I knew how to say thank you in Italian, and the only thing that I can think to say in Italian is, I don't even know if it is Italian or I've just made it up. Non mi dispiace. What does that mean? Does that mean I don't understand? I have no idea what
I don't know. It sounds too many words to be thank you.
Well, I can tell you what the actual pronunciation is for thank you. And it is in Italian, it's grazie, which is...
Oh, cool. Grazie. Wow, that's quite an aggressive.
Yeah,
Italian.
I mean, Google Translate is not holding back.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just like my soundboard now. Whenever I think one of you has made a great point, I'll just go,
Grazie.
oh dear. Yeah, great. Right, we got it. Sorry, I barely got through this question. Let me finish it off. Great. So he said thanks for the pronunciation, so well done. I include some information on Grappa down below, since you all seem pretty passionate about all things alcohol, so I might read that out in a sec. Thanks for the podcast. I really enjoy the casual atmosphere and passion for the hobby. Thank you very much. My questions, 2 in case you don't like one, I'm reading them both out, so I'm sure we'll love them both. Which bit of lore do you like the most about your faction? And which character for your faction would you choose as company for a night at the pub, and why? There's a bit he's written about Grappa, and I'll quickly read that out after we've answered those questions. So for me, I think what bit of lore do I like the most about my faction? I think I've talked about this before, but in the 100 Kingdoms there are there's the Imperial Legion, which is one sub-faction. There is the Nobility, which is another sub-faction, and then there is the Orders, which is the third sort of sub-faction within the 100 Kingdoms, and easily my favourite part of lore. I really enjoy the Crimson Tower, A, because the models look awesome, B, because they're knights, and C, because they look brutal. They've got these maces and bits of stuff spiking out of their armor. I mean, like they're on their standard bearer, there is a suit of armor on top of it. It's so cool. It was so fun to paint. But one of the coolest things about the Crimson Tower is that actually they hate war. So they don't like fighting. So their whole thing is that they are like, right, we don't like war, but war is inevitable. So what we're going to do is we're going to fight, be really good at it, so that we end wars quickly. That is their whole thing. So they're like, let's just charge in, do all the killing, and then look, at least there's no more. And they're very big on protecting civilians. So if you do, if you are a noble lord of some description or an imperial officer of some description, you are setting up an army and you hire in some orders. If you hire in the Order of the Crimson Tower, not only do you have to pay them, obviously, you also cannot loot. So you can't go into a city and pillage it and take all the loot, which is actually how you pay your soldiers a lot especially in medieval times. That was often how they managed to do campaigns, especially abroad. So I think it's you're paying a double whammy to have them. They're incredible knights, but not only are you paying for them in the first place, you're also paying as an army to have to pay your soldiers normally, rather than just be able to go, oh, go loot that city, take what you want, and have at it. So yeah, that's probably my favourite bit of lore about the faction. In terms of characters I'd want as backup for a night at the pub, I'm guessing we're going faction by faction. I think I would quite like, I quite like the Theist Priest. I think he's got a big old helmet on him. So I think, he'd be pretty good in a scrap. Got a big sword, and that's helpful. He's got some fire magic, so if his physical prowess cannot withstand the enemy's aggression, then he's got some fire as well. And I think actually at the end of the day, also, if he's a priest at the end of the day, and if he's probably looking first and foremost, if there is some sort of fight that happens in this pub, to reconcile everyone. And so you'd actually probably have a quite nice evening.
Right.
And so, that's why I'd bring the Theist Priest, because you wouldn't even need the fight. He'd just go, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Round of flaming shots.
Exactly.
Nice. Sambucas.
I also realised that you just asked, if the question was actually, who would you choose as company just for a night at the pub, not who would you choose, which my brain immediately went to, if you had a fight at a pub, are you backing up? So yeah.
Not really helping the global reputation of English drinkers, which have already got...
Yeah, my assumption was just you go into a pub, you get into a fight.
Get into a fight, right?
Yeah. Yeah, be very aware, if Josh invites you to a pub, you are his backup.
It's true.
Well, I feel like, obviously I play two factions. I'm not going to pick Old Dominion, because I feel like, if I was to go to a pub with most of their characters, the conversation might be a bit dead.
I was literally about to make a joke about dead banter.
No, I'd definitely pick Nord's character. Do you know what? I feel like I'd go for the Jarl. I feel like the Kuningir, he's a king. I feel like it'd just be a bit, it'd be a bit up himself. I feel like the Jarl's a bit more of a down to earth. I think he's going to be the cool guy behind the scenes who really, he's the guy really that everyone, kind of respects. He pulls everything together. I feel like he'd, a couple of pints and you'd hear all the stories from the stuff that, he doesn't usually say. I think it'll be a night out with the Jarl.
I'm guessing you wouldn't take the Blooded, because you would definitely be in a fight.
Yeah, you'd be in a fight. I just feel like, he wouldn't sit still, would he? You're not going to sit at the booth and, sing a few pints with him. He's going to be dancing around. He's going to be going a bit too crazy. It's just not my style.
I'm just thinking of that moment in the first Thor film where he goes to like a coffee shop and orders like a glass of milk or something, and he loves it, so he smashes it on the ground. He goes, another.
Brilliant. Right. Well, okay. So the question is, what part of the lore of my faction do I like the most? I mean,
yes.
I just think the interplay between the sub-factions in the Spires is super interesting, and so the Underspires, knowing that there is something going on, that there's like this uprising of the drones somehow, that they're forming a religious faction or whatever, and that this is effectively going completely unseen by the sovereign lineage, because why on earth would they even deign to care about what's going on sort of down there? I think that's just a really interesting sort of balance of power. But in terms of who I would take to the pub with me, that there's part of me that feels like I would really like to go out with a nice lineage highborn. I feel like that would just be a nice time spent, nice conversation. However,
taking a girl out to sound.
Well, I think I get the sense that she's got a rather expensive tastes, and so we'd end up in some bar that I'm just thinking, £8 for a pint.
It's not going to be pints. It's going to be a wine bar, Sam.
Yeah, cocktails.
Yeah.
20 quid for a cocktail. So, actually, the
I'm
character.
just imagining you in Turtle Bay with a lineage. I'll have another rum cool punch, please.
No, the one that I would have to settle on is going to be Memetic Assassin, because I think if you go out for a night out with the Memetic Assassin, that is going to be dramatic, right? There are going to be some memories. After that, it is going to be the Hangover part spiders.
Yep. There you go. And because he's got Quicksilver Strike,
He takes his shot first.
Yeah. No, he makes you take all the shots of the entire evening before he starts drinking.
Where am I? I'm over here now. I'm over here. I'm behind the bar. Barman's dead. Who killed him? Not me. I'm not even here anymore.
Oh, what's that? 10 Jaeger bombs? When they
Oh, man.
For the record, by the way, I'm quite enjoying this mead now.
You've gotten into the swing of
The
it.
second or third sip, that's all it needed.
There you go. Just break the seal. That's not what that is.
I think it's hard following the sweetness of what we've been drinking beforehand. That's probably what the challenge is. That it kind of smells like only and isn't.
There we go. Right, we've been talking too much nonsense. I'm going to finish on Claudio's lovely description of grappa before we move on to our wonderful book. He says, on grappa is a distilled, not fermented, strong drink that's very common in Italy. It's made from the leftovers of wine production. It's made from skins, seeds, pulps, and the stem of grapes after most of the liquid is removed. Graspa is the original term for grappa, which indicates this leftover part. Grappa is mainly drank at the end of a typical Italian meal, be it lunch or dinner. At the end, you're supposed to be near bursting from all the good food you ate. In order to aid your digestion, you and the rest of the table will take 1 or 2 shot glasses of grappa. Another common use for grappa is to pour some in your espresso to add a bit of an extra kick. Oh. So there you go. That's fascinating. I mean,
The Italian coffee.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was that bottle or if grappa in general was not my flavour, but I don't remember enjoying it much. And I think now hearing its use as like a post-meal sort of digestive sort of thing, that makes sense to me. That makes sense. You kind of wash it down. You're full of pasta and various meats and things, and you're just like, I just need something to cut through all of that.
I'm gonna try it in a coffee now. I feel like maybe we need to revisit this.
I think that's a good shout. Have you still got that bottle, Sam?
I think I might have some, because I remember re-listening to that episode back and thinking, it can't have been that bad, surely. I mean, I'm making a massive fuss out of this. And I thought, I'll try some again. And I tried some again and thought, no, I know
It's
why
still-
we're at.
Well, there we go. Maybe that's the answer. Right, well, on to our lovely book. So if you are, I guess, who is this aimed for? So actually, Sam, would it be fair to ask you this question? Who are we looking to, who's this book for?
Yeah, well, I'm sure that Josh is going to talk us through some of the details, but it's the purpose of this handbook is that it has got a little bit about absolutely everything to do with our hobby. And so there are 2 main groups for this. One is that if you have not really been into war games before, but you've seen the minis and you like the idea, or you know your friends are into it and you're just not sure where to get started, it can feel like it can be pretty confusing. And so this is a way to just understand a little bit about how to start collecting, how to get painting going, how to start playing a game, how to find a local gaming group, sort of all the basic sort of how-tos across the entire hobby, all in one nice, accessible book.
Yeah.
And so that's the first group. So if you're not particularly into wargaming and you think you might want to be, get this book, absolutely. But also, I'm a wargamer myself, and I just like reading about the hobby. I like reading about every little bit of it. I like consuming YouTube content and listening to podcasts and that sort of thing. And the ability to go into something where it's not going to be too mentally taxing, but I can just find out a couple of little quick tips, thinking about strategy and tactics and all of that, getting some hints on what are the next gadgets to buy. Then it's got that as well.
There we go, mate. I mean, it's a great book. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I think it is very I'd say it's definitely more wide than it is deep.
Yeah.
But I'd say the depth it goes into, there will be something here for everyone. So if you're starting right out from zero and you've not done any wargaming, you've not done any Dungeons and Dragons, you're literally just like, I want to give this thing a go. I've started playing Conquest, or I've started playing Warhammer. You know, we won't judge you. But, you know, this book, I feel like it's got a lot of stuff for you. If you have been wargaming for years and years and years, there is also bits and bobs there here that I'm sure you will find helpful. I've been playing Conquest for quite a while. Before that, we were playing Gorka Morka, and honestly, reading through some of the strategy and the tactics. I think, Josh, you wrote tactics, didn't you? I think so, or was it strategy? It was one of the two, wasn't it?
Yeah, there you go. So if you disagree with that, you know who to direct your hate
I've outed you now. No, but I thought reading through that, I thought, especially some of the diagrams you did of scenarios in which, okay, should I charge here? Should I not? I found that really helpful. So, yeah, I'd say if you are into wargaming in any level, you're probably, unless you are a master painter, wargamer, and everything, and you've mastered every bit of the hobby, then, you know, just buy the book anyway. It's a great read.
I mean, I think that as a wargamer, then you tend to have natural bits of the hobby that are, you know, that you're drawn to. Your personality just makes you naturally better at. And so I think even with the three of us, you know, we've got natural, I'm attracted to the painting, and the gaming is like, you know, that's a nice thing on the side, or I'm attracted to all of the numbers and getting the strategy right, or I'm just attracted to some hobby that I get to hang out with people and I get to sort of invest in the small world, get into the lore. You know, I think we have a natural place where we just go straight there. So I literally, I mean, this earlier on today, I got my little delivery of 2 new special Space Marine models.
Nice.
I literally don't know how to play Warhammer, but I love the minis of the Space Marines. And so I'm going to collect them, I'm going to build them, I'm going to paint them maybe, you know, in a nice slow way. And maybe one day I'll even get to play it, but that's not so important to me. And so I think this book is quite a good place to go to dig in a little bit into those areas that you're not naturally so drawn to, because it sort of gives you that first, you know, takes you from 0 to 4 out of 10.
Yeah. And well, just to prove to you guys that it's not just us blowing smoke up our own behinds, it's actually, we've got a couple of pretty good endorsements actually. So we've got Scott the Miniature Manager, seemed to like our book. Should I read out what they've said?
Yeah,
right.
Go on.
Yeah.
All right, so Scott the Miniature Manager, if you have watched any painting tutorials on Conquest, you have watched one of his videos. He's great. He's also done some live streams of some tournaments, so that's been really good. You will recognise his voice anywhere. It's like a great podcasting voice, I'd say. Great narratives. Yeah, it's brilliant. He said, this handbook is a valuable tool for new and seasoned wargamers alike. Within these pages, you will find tips, tricks, and mindsets that will simplify this complicated hobby. I especially love all the tips for painting your miniatures. I've been able to apply many of these concepts to my painting and have seen a difference in how I approach new projects. Take it from someone who paints minis for a living. Good enough is all you need. So I think, high praise.
Yeah.
I remember reading that and I thought,
Super happy.
Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Scott.
Scott, you're a legend. We've also got an endorsement from Jonathan Green, who is a Black Library author. So he has written several books for Games Workshop. He's actually contributed to articles for the White Dwarf magazine as well, and some of the flavour text for Games Workshop games. He said this: with its witty and conversational approach, this comprehensive guide to tabletop miniature wargaming provides you with well thought out advice on every aspect of the hobby. And you might even learn some useful life lessons along the way between painting your miniatures and rolling those dice. So, yeah, I mean, Jonathan Green says it's good. So
yeah, I mean, I remember reading Jonathan Green's books in the 1990s, and the idea that I would have been reading Spellbreaker and thinking the guy that wrote that is going to be writing an endorsement on this book is pretty mind-blowing. So,
Nice.
yeah, I'm super happy about that. Thank you, Jonathan.
It's really cool. Yeah, thank you so much. We've got a few more here. We've got one from Guy Sklanders, who is brilliant. He is a YouTuber for the How to Be a Great Game Master channel. He's brilliant. He's super into Dungeons and Dragons and all that stuff, but I'm aware that he is involved in the miniature hobby as well. He says this: wargaming and minis is a fantastical space. The more effort you put in, the more reward you get. This book gives you a clear path on how and where to put your effort to maximize your return. Easy to read, easy to understand, and so clear. It's all easy to implement too. To be frank, where was this book 3 Warhammer armies and years of frustration ago? He put himself as Guy, How to Be a Great Game Master, and okay-ish mini painter.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, and give Guy a follow. I think his YouTube channel is highly entertaining and educational. So
Brilliant. Yeah, for sure.
Big fan.
And for those of you who are into the Conquest podcasting space, as I'm guessing you already are, if you're listening to this, we've got some endorsements from our fellow Conquest podcasters. We got one from Aaron from Just Roll Ones. He says, if you're looking to get into wargaming or even just looking for ways to get more enjoyment out of your hobby, this is a great read. Aaron, thank you very much.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing your Hawaiian shirt at LGT. And yeah, we think you're great.
Yeah.
Aaron is also getting into brewing mead, which is very exciting. He was so inspired by Josh's mead brewery that he's actually sent me a couple of pictures on Discord. They look very good.
I was very impressed. It looked
Legit.
amazing. Yeah.
So shout out to Aaron, and thanks for the shout out. And last one is from Mass. So if you listen to one of our previous episodes, he's from Bonk Table. He was once a guest on our podcast. He's a great guy. He says, great intro into wargaming, or if you feel lost in the hobby, it's a must read. Thank you very much, Mass. It is much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Great. So just opening this book up, I'm looking at the table of contents right now. We have got stuff on how to buy miniatures. We've got stuff on how to paint miniatures. I wrote a decent amount of that. I say I'm an all right painter.
Come on, give yourself more praise than that. And I think this is what Sam touched on earlier. We are all into really different stuff in the war game, and that's where I think probably everyone could learn a little bit of something. Because Josh, you are exceptional with painting. The amount of research he's done and attention to detail gives to the models is fantastic.
So many YouTube videos.
I'm rubbish with it. I care all about numbers and trying to win games. Even if my army looks rubbish, as long as they're the models left on the table, that's what matters to me.
I think we should release a version of this book where we swap chapters. And so I write about tactics and then you write about painting, and we see how absolutely dumbfounded our readers are. So you got loads of stuff in here. There's stuff from like how to equip yourself, understanding rules, strategy and tactics. There is one of my favourite chapters is how to deal with luck and losing, and I think that's something that definitely comes up a lot in wargaming and in the hobby. We actually had a whole podcast episode on how to deal with losing. How to lose well actually was what it was called, and I think that's another important part. We've got how to enjoy the story, how to deal with humans, and all those, lots of different things. But I think this book is full of stuff. I think each chapter is then subdivided into more specific topics. So if I flick back to the painting one, there's all sorts of stuff. There is, increase your contrast. There's one that is called Give In to Slap Chop. So if you've ever heard of Slap Chop, we do have a Slap Chop guide. I mean, we couldn't go without. Stuff on thinning your paints, like lots of different little tips and tricks that will help you as you go along. If I look at something like how to equip yourself, there's a little subsection on thinking about tokens. These are things that you don't necessarily think about, but are actually really helpful. And we've played these games, right? We've done this hard part so that you don't have to. So if you're coming into this book and you haven't done much wargaming, or you're thinking about getting into it, actually just a read of this, it's like, great, I now know it's actually quite helpful to have wound tokens rather than just putting dice numbers on and stuff like that. Like, we're just trying to make this easy for you and do all the work for you so that you can just come into it and have a smooth ride.
Yeah. So yeah, if you've never been to a tournament before, but you've got one that's on the horizon and you think, oh, maybe I'll just enter that one, there's a chapter for that. There's something that you'll be able to have your quick how-to. Here's how to start. If you've never run a narrative campaign before, then there's a section all about that. If you've never painted a full army and it's just feeling too scary, then there's whole sections devoted to the difference between tabletop painting and higher quality painting. So yeah, I think it's a really great resource. I'm really happy with it. I think it's
brilliant.
really good.
Yeah. Right, I will just quickly ask you guys if there's anything particular that you feel like that's in this book that you're like, oh, this will be a great thing to look forward to. So for me, I think, obviously, I've done some writing for the painting. I think something that will be really helpful is I've actually done a little subsection on thinning your paints. And obviously this is quite a big thing in, if you've watched any sort of YouTube, sort of painting tutorials, they'll talk about thinning your paints. But I think I think sometimes things can become such a meme that actually they become like, oh, I just have to do it because I need to do it. And actually, you don't always need to thin your paints. It's a little bit more complicated than that. And I found in my experience, you can sometimes just using it straight from the palette without adding water is good. If you're doing a specific highlight layer and you just need to get a thick layer of paint on there, great. And so loads of little stuff like that I think is quite helpful. But yeah, I don't know if you guys want to give us a little teaser as to what to look forward to from your guys' contribution.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pick out one particular specific thing that we've got is, don't worry now, it's we've got, there's an entire appendix in there which is just about the Conquest factions. And so this book is not about Conquest, it's about all war games. It's got all kinds of stuff which is really general about the game. But as a bit of an example, and I think particularly helpful if you're a Conquest player, it's got a breakdown for each of the factions, what their playstyle is like. And so particularly if you're looking to get into Conquest and you're thinking, oh, which one should I pick? What a great little reference guide for you to have a quick read through and look at, what is it that I like about this faction, and is that the sort of thing that would suit my playstyle? So, I think that's a really helpful bit of it.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I really love, we got a chapter on how to enjoy the story, and I think for all of us, we love like naming our characters with funny names, and like when a dice roll goes badly, sometimes we had like a little bit of lore to like what the characters were doing and why they failed so terribly. And I think having a chapter on just embracing the kind of role-playing side of it, and just it really, for a game that can get quite, people can get quite serious with war games, embracing the role-playing side just makes it feel a lot more fun, and I feel like you laugh a lot more, and we all love laughing, especially while playing Conquest together. So I think for me that's a great chapter.
Great, and that's from the tactics guy, so this is going to be good. Great, so I think lots to look forward to in this book. I would love to leave you guys with a excerpt from the second appendix in our book, which is actually a narrative campaign that we have been running in Conquest. We did this across a few First Blood games, a few Last Argument of Kings games, but we really got into the characters and the story. And Sam was brilliant. He wrote up after each night we played. He would then write in our group chat and go, this is what's happened, and did a little narrative story. It was brilliant. So I'm just going to read an excerpt. I feel like on the background of this, I'd love do you know the RuneScape music? The little... Yeah, anyway. That's probably going to get us copyrighted. So the reality will be you'll get some stock music, fantasy music, so enjoy that. Bodies lining the route they'd taken. The two knights of the Crimson Tower saw their chance. Ahead was the evil Ferromancer, the gentle clouds billowing all around him. Pure power for whatever other hideous creatures were hidden in this forest. His name was Arnie. Charging forwards, they clattered directly into a faceless mound of flesh at the Ferromancer's side, knocking it to the floor, but Arnie's reaction with his staff was surprising. He knocked away the swinging Morning Star easily and prepared his stance to fight back. Hector, seeing his opportunity, rushed at Galahad. and releasing terrifying retractable claws, swiped across the breastplate of Galahad, unseating him from his horse, which galloped off in fear. Arthur gripped his reins tightly and muttered under his breath, "Leave them to me." Right as one of the Strix whipped across his face with a barbed claw, knocking him to the ground. The Morning Star didn't miss a second time, swinging through the air and sending Arnie flying back into the undergrowth he had emerged from. The Strix, feeling the loss of their leader, flew directly upwards away from the fray, while Hector, having bothered the Steel Legion for a moment, seemed to disappear without a trace. The Helmston men-at-arms, who throughout this time had steadily marched their way forwards to prepare to outflank the spies, ran towards Galahad and Arthur, who were both getting to their feet groggily. Sir Galahad waved away their concern, a satisfied expression just about visible through his helm. "We saw off the enemy," he declared, optimistically. "We fight and we win as one. Next time we do battle, we will not underestimate their assassin, and surely they will recognize the power of the Crimson Tower." The two knights mentioned nodded their heads in recognition. "Let us return to the road and rest for the night before heading homeward tomorrow."
Wow.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, you've got a great little narrative campaign to enjoy at the end of the book. Yeah. If you've listened to this, we will include a link to where you can purchase this. I think at the moment you can only buy it as a Kindle version. Very soon.
Oh, it's out.
It's out
now.
It's
out as of today. You can get
Great.
a paperback version on Amazon Prime.
You could listen to this at 8 a.m. in the morning, and you could order it at 8:05. Okay.
Why have you waited 5 minutes?
Why have you waited 5 minutes? Order at 8 a.m. when you wake up, and you could have this book happily in your front door by tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you got Amazon Prime, if you don't, you might have to wait a bit. But most of you listening probably have Amazon Prime. It's great, nice and easy, front door. I tell you what, if you want a gift for your friend, I'm going full salesman at the moment. aren't I?
Really big enough Amazon Prime. I'm hoping the sponsorship deal is going to happen here.
Yeah. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this podcast and you would like to support us and all our writing endeavours, then go ahead, buy one of these books. You will not be disappointed. And yeah, but otherwise, look, thank you very much for listening, guys. Have you got anything else to add before we wrap this one up?
I feel like going into absolutely full sales mode, but I think I'm going to hold myself back.
This baby right here.
I think it is a
3 million
good
miles an hour.
book. I think you'll enjoy it. If you listen to this podcast and you like this,
Yeah.
you will really like this book.
Yeah.
I think it's a great Christmas present.
Yeah.
Any wargamer, who's got everything, here we go. This is something that's quite different.
If I'm not much of a reader, if I got this book as a Christmas present, I'd probably actually read it. I'm not going to lie.
And it is
something.
an easy read.
Yeah.
Like you will get this read in not very long at all. It's simple in short sections. It's got pictures in it. What more do you want?
And also, if you don't care about painting and you just want to know about tactics, great. Read that chapter. Enjoy it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Joshing Around in Air. If you've got any questions, please send them in to joshingaroundinair@gmail.com. But otherwise, thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time.
See you.
Thanks for reading.
In the realm of miniatures where dreams take flight, three mates named Josh, their bond shining bright. Brushes in hand, they paint tales of yore. Amidst laughter and drinks, their spirits soar. From joshing around in an air they stride, amidst paints and drinks, side by side. With each cavalry charge, their bromance gleams In the realm of AI, they chase their dreams. Joshing around amidst paints and drinks, they each cavalry charge, their bromance gleams. In the realm of conquest, they chase their dreams.